Good evening. If we can have your attention, we have an exciting surprise for you because votes are starting in the House in just a few minutes. Congressman Blumenauer and Congressman Kind have kindly made time to be here early tonight to help us celebrate Ron's career in Congress and leadership on trade. We'll have a very short program right now, then we'll adjourn for dinner and pick up our program there. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Chairman Blumenauer.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Ken. I am pleased and honored to join you for what I think will be a series of the Ron Kind farewell tour. Frankly, I'm getting worn out from my colleagues leaving. I've had 5 events for Peter DeFazio, including 2 tonight. But it's worth it for people who have made such an indelible mark on Congress. And I count Ron Kind as one of those people. Now, poor Ron had the misfortune of being elected immediately after me. I came in a special election. So I, under the tyranny of seniority, he had to sit next to me on the committee, and I got to pick ahead of him for room assignments. Although he managed to work that to his advantage because my staff worked every year trying to figure out the right karma in terms of what would be the best committee, the best rooms to select. And then Ron just moved in the one that I vacated. So we've been hopscotching, and I think it worked out reasonably well. And it worked out reasonably well for me to be able to sit adjacent to Ron on the dais, to be able to work with him and learn from him. A man who's committed to the notion that international trade does not have to be terminally divisive. He understands that trade is essential if we're going to be able to harness the power of the economy, bring people together to solve problems rather than create new ones. We had an experience in terms of his leadership on forced labor. You know, since 31 or something, it was illegal, but people figured out that it cost money if you weren't going to use forced labor, and they allowed that exemption. Ron called the question and was able to change the policy, and we've been able to make significant progress as a result of that. He's willing to call the question of the fact that we actually need a functioning WTO, and he's willing to spend time and energy, not just in Geneva, but with his colleagues. I have found, without exception, Ron is somebody who does his homework in the best tradition of Harvard quarterback. He's prepared, he's tough, he's energetic, and relentless, but in a nice way. You've watched him in action on the committee. He's not afraid to ask tough questions, but he doesn't alienate people. He does it in a way that's respectful, understanding, and kind of is designed to help bring people around to the right outcomes. We need that approach now more than ever. Now, rumor has it that Ron is not running for re-election, and he has not consented to a write-in on his behalf. He will be leaving Congress, but he's going to be engaged. I don't know what his next assignments are going to be. He's a young man with a bright future, with deep range of experience. And some of you out there may have ideas for what Ron could do in his next chapters in terms of volunteer and in terms of employment. One thing I know is we've not heard the last of him, and the impact that he has made in my quarter century in Congress is hard to overestimate. He's been a superb member of Congress. He's been a superb friend. He has made a difference from the day he walked through the door, representing, can I say, a challenging district? Been there campaigning, and it's tough. But he's successfully navigated it cycle after cycle with dignity, with respect, and effectiveness. So it's an honor for me to be here tonight with your friends, Ron, to award you this Distinguished Service Award, the first of a number that he's going to have in the next phase. And I look forward to being a part of a number of your farewell celebrations. And most important, I look forward to working with you in the next Congress, regardless of the capacity. Because one thing is sure, we're going to need his wisdom, his balance, his commitment to help us navigate what's going to be a challenging time. But Ron will do that in whatever capacity. It's an honor to serve with you. It's an honor to be with you here this evening.
Thank you.
And look forward to your
That's
next.
great. Let's come on over here.
Okay.
Listen, I hate the fact that we got the defense authorization bill and 600 amendments. We're going to have votes starting at 7, so unfortunately Earl and I aren't going to be able to stay around. So thanks for accommodating our schedule. But it's a great honor to receive this recognition from this group, the International Trade Association. We've known many of you for many years, worked closely with you, received your advice and consent and direction. And Earl and I, on committee, have worked hard to try to get our trade agenda back on the rails again, and we desperately need it. But it's especially special to receive the award from, I think, one of my dearest friends and closest colleagues in Congress, Earl Blumenauer, and the leadership that he has shown throughout the years as chair of the Trade Subcommittee right now. I have benefited greatly having the chance to sit next to this gentleman for the last 16 years and always whispering in his ear, and him and me, and exchanging ideas and thoughts. And I'm going to miss that greatly, not being a part of the Great Ways and Means Committee. So thank you, Earl, for all your help and guidance. I'm honored as well to be receiving it on the night when Pat Toomey is going to be recognized, dear friend and colleague over on the Senate side. I think Rob Portman is going to be doing the introductions to Pat, another dear friend. We've teamed up on a host of trade issues, most recently 242 reform. I think it's important that we get Congress in the game when it comes to the imposition of the 242 national security tariffs that the previous administration was fond of imposing. Congress needs a stronger voice and greater input with 242, and hopefully that will come. And we've got a good piece of bipartisan legislation, both the House and the Senate, to work on it. But it's fun to gather tonight at the official trade prom of Washington, D.C. When I mentioned that I'm going to be going to a trade prom this week, I thought, what better person to bring to prom than my beloved wife, Tawny, who's here with us too. And when she walked in and she looked at the crowd, she said, "Ron, this is your idea of a prom?" I said, "It is, dear. These people know how to party. They know how to have fun." And I'm glad she's here to share this moment. But listen, I'm preaching to the choir here by telling you how urgent it is for us to get the trade agenda back on track. We're a little out of kilter. We're down in the game. There's a lot going around internationally. Those of you who have known me know I'm fond of saying that to me, trade is more than just goods and products and services and now data crossing borders. It's an important part of our national security and our diplomatic arsenal. It's the relationship building that we have to have throughout the globe. And we, as the United States, need to be at the table, establishing those rules, reflecting our values, elevating standards up to where we are, rather than engaging to a race to the bottom. I know it's something that Earl and I have shared in our philosophical outlook. We have a good model now to move forward on with the recently completed USMCA with strong enforcement provisions. Got to get TPA done desperately so that we have an administration with the authority to go out and start striking new bilateral or multilateral trade deals. That's got to be an imperative. But I couldn't have done this, obviously, without wonderful staff people, two of whom are here tonight. Hannah Greenberg, my former chief. Many of you had a chance to work with her. Ethan Holmes, currently at USTR, helping Catherine there too. Ethan is in the crowd. And then one of Earl's and my dearest friends, former member Jim Colby, who's wandering around out there. Had a chance to catch up with Jim. He was a mentor of mine, and much of what I learned when it came to trade policy came from the work and the lips of Jim Colby. And I thank him too for his friendship throughout the years. So we'll look forward to continuing to work with you with what remaining days we have left this year, and hopefully with your help and your advice, we'll be able to get the committee straightened out and the Congress straightened out, realizing how important it is for us to be engaging constructively throughout the world with the trade policy, and my personal preference, figuring out a way for us to get back into TPP. I still believe that was one of the great strategic mistakes that we made as a country in the 21st century. We're on the outside looking in on the fastest growing economic region in the world, the Pacific Rim area. We've got to figure out a way to get back included in that, because also the structural reforms we're demanding China to make is contained in TPP with enforceability. That to me seems to be a better strategy in dealing with China's rise responsibly. We've got the framework for that already. So thank you very much for the recognition and this honor tonight. Wish we could stay longer. Look forward to seeing you in the days ahead. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Ron, for your amazing 25 years of service in Congress and leadership on trade. And personally, thank you as well. We hope you are not a stranger. We're going to ask everyone to please move to the dinner now. The bar is closed. And we have good friends, a delicious dinner, great wine courtesy of the Wine Institute, and scintillating conversation waiting for you in the atrium hall. We need you to move there now because Senator Toomey and Senator Portman are also on a tight schedule, so we need to keep the program moving. If everyone can please move to your table in the dinner, we'll get started in there momentarily.